Hello, and welcome to the second episode of Creator Collabs. My name is Cher Jones, and I am super excited for this episode because it is going to be awesome because I want to teach you how you can create, or it's not me, I'm not teaching you, but my guest tonight is going to teach you how you can create your own branded style. The things you need to know before you even attempt to do that, or things you might need to do in order to fix what you've already done, because this is a solid strategy. Maybe not. We're going to discuss that tonight. And I just want to give you guys more insight and at the same time, help you grow your brand by collaborating with us right now. So, collaborators, how are you tonight? It's so great to see you signing up. Yes, Dan. Yes, my friend. Holy crap, it's Cher Jones. That's right, on a Tuesday night. That's right. And I see Yolanda. How are you as well? Thank you for joining us so much. I appreciate it. So tonight's show is going to be awesome. I see another LinkedIn user saying, hello, Cher Jones. And also, hi, Cher Dinah. How are you? I am excited to hang out with you guys tonight because, like I said, it's going to be pretty awesome. I'm using some different software tonight, playing around from my normal Just Us Share vibe. So I also want to let you guys know that we are going to be talking, as I mentioned before, all about your brand style. And this is a part of what I call your brand's Easter eggs. And this is a concept that I've developed around, you may be familiar with Easter eggs when it comes to like Marvel movies. They always putting little Easter eggs into the stories and into the whole MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what they are is to tell the rest of the story, to give other plot lines. Well, when it comes to your brand, your Easter eggs, whether they're coming in the form of your style, your messaging, how you communicate, how you show up, your stuff, or even your content, it all is going to show up there, and they all give clues to who you are. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. Again, we're going to be focusing in on the style of your Easter egg, your brand's Easter egg. And we will be coming to, so in a moment, you're going to be speaking with, and I have my name up, that we're going to be speaking with Renee Lindo. So in a moment, you guys will get to meet her. But in the meantime, it's still me. Look at me. Yeah, okay. But what I do want to share with you, I do want to ask, first of all, is a very important question. Team live or team replay? Which one? Which one are you? I want you to let me know in the comments right now. Hello. Oh my gosh, the comments are popping. Guys, this is really interesting because I'm using this well, it's not brand new. It's just not what I do. I usually use OBS, and tonight I'm all in Restream Studios. So this is a great place for you to also stream. So if you've never used Restream in the studio, this is an example of what that's like. So I see that Gerard is watching. Good night. I love Renee's style. Who doesn't love Renee's style? Oh my gosh. And Marvin says hello. And let's see who else is on there. Dan Soul Glow. Exactly. I got the curls popping. They're a little wet, but that's okay. All right. And John says hello from Oregon. And also, I'm popping in and out because I got a lot going on. Thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate you guys. But again, let me get in tonight. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but again, I'm a little green at this, but that's okay. That's okay. We are here. I want to make sure that you understand the concept, understand the assignment. So my question for you, before we do anything else, my question for you is, have you developed your own branded style yet? Yes or no in the comments. I want to know, is this something that you've even thought about? Have you worked on it? Maybe you've done a photo shoot. I want to know. Let me know, yes or no in the comments, and that will be awesome. But I also want you guys to recognize as well that this collaborator series, all right? This creator collaborator series is not just about me and Renee. It's about me, you, and Renee. And what you're going to do is you're going to collaborate to create tonight. So we're going to have an awesome conversation, me, you, and Renee. And in the meantime, I want you to be looking out for ideas, okay? I want you to be thinking about basically But first, your assignment. Yes, you have an assignment from me. Should you choose to accept. And so this is not just something that you're just watching and kind of being entertained by. Yes, you can, but I'd love for you to be an active participant in this conversation. So let me give you an idea of what I expect from you, and then we'll get into our guest. All right. So I want you to both collaborate and create tonight. So, one of the things that you can do, and this happened actually in my last episode. So, you start creating in the comments. Do you realize that not all content creators are creating content that's being posted? A lot of times, people are actually creating their first thoughts, their first content in the comments. So, that's exactly what you can do tonight if you are an active participant, both live and on the replay. Also, I want you to take notes on any ideas that you get today as you're watching this episode. And even if you're watching on the replay, this is here to give you content ideas. And stick around, because at the end of this episode, I'm going to do a special brainstorming session with you to see what your ideas are around this content. So again, this is not just for you to watch and do your thing. Well, you can, but again, you can make the most of your time and create alongside us as we create this content together. So are you guys ready? Are you collaborators ready? Because I am ready. So at this time, I want to welcome Renee Lindo. Welcome, Renee.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me, Cher. So excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you because I think this is such a hot topic when it comes to personal
Yes,
branding. Our style is a reflection of who we are, and we have to
absolutely.
recognize how powerful of a strategy it can be if you're being strategic. So tell
Absolutely.
me a bit about you, and I'm sorry to cut you off. I guess I'm like overexcited to have you here, but I want you to tell me and tell everybody else just a little bit about you and what you do with your clients.
Sure. So I'm Renee Lindo, and I like to say I guide women and men on their style journey from confused and overwhelmed to confident and killing it. Right. So
Mhm.
we're dating functional wardrobes with polished outfits that really align with your personal brand so that you can confidently step into the life that you desire and attract those opportunities. Right. When you look good, you feel good and your
Mm.
energy shifts. Right. And you become magnetic and people really can feel that and tap into that. And that is so energy is so important. And that's really what I do. So I work with people as they're transitioning, whether they have gained weight, lost weight, they're moving up in their career, they're a new job, they're progressing along that corporate ladder, new entrepreneurs, people who are starting out a new business, and they really know that they need to level up their style and look different where they're going. And so I help them on that style transformation.
I love that because I think our style is always evolving and growing. And you mentioned something real. Like I love the fact around like transitional sizing, right? Whether you're going up or down, it's about getting used
Yeah,
to you in that and what works best for you in that current state. I think that is something that we have to
absolutely.
pay attention to. Yeah.
Yes,
And
because sometimes I hear from clients that I'm going to wait. I want to work with you, but I'm wait.
mm,
Looking good and feeling
mm,
good is not a prize for um for your body, right? We need to dress the bodies that we have now and embrace it and really understand how to dress that body to be a reflection of our style, of our brand, I should say. It's
mhm.
important. It's the first thing people see.
And you're correct because I mean, you look at what Ryan says. I'm in the process of refining my personal brand style. I'm a work in progress, and I think that we always are that work in progress. But it's about you were saying, it's owning the now and not
Right.
waiting for then, right?
Absolutely. What are we waiting? That's not that we learn. Many of us learned from COVID, right? What are we
Mm,
waiting for? What we have is now. And so we really need to be intentional and make the decisions and move forward to create the life that we want, right? And those experiences.
All right, so now let's dive into, because I think there's two realms of our personal style. There's our everyday style, then there, especially for the creators, the thought leaders out there. There's a bit more of a performative style, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, especially when it comes to how we show up on stage, on our videos, and online, and all that stuff, and in our photo shoots. Oh my gosh, photo shoots! But first, let's start talking about are exploring our everyday, because there has to be that cohesion, which we'll talk about later as well. But a lot of people don't know that their brand and their style can be a liability to their brand. Why is that? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. So human nature, right? We judge people as we see people on the road, we see people wherever, and we make assumptions. And I'm going to get pushback. I don't judge people, or that's not the right thing to do. And I get it. Nobody really wants to feel that we're judging people or we're judgmental, but it's a part of human nature. You see certain attributes, assumptions, right? The data tells us it's just 7 seconds. In 7 seconds, people make decisions about us, and it's really four things they're looking at. Are you likable? Are you trustworthy? Are you competent? Are you confident? Those are four pretty important things that just in a few seconds people are deciding and people are thinking about. So first impressions are important.
Mm.
And when you know I don't know what a fantastic digital creator you are, or what a fantastic coach you are, or business person. I don't know that when I look at you. I have to get to know you. You have to start speaking. But but when I meet you, I see you. That's what's in front of me. So I always think of your style as a packaging of your personal brand, right? That is, so you have your personal brand, but what is that outside packaging, right? That people are going to say, I want to know more, right? And
Mm.
it's important that all of your touch points, right? They see you, your digital, all of your assets, your website, your all of that. You really want all your touch points to be aligned. You don't
Mm.
want to have your this money creating your brochures or your website, your media, and you put that out there. And then when people meet you, they're like, oh, there's a
Who
disconnect,
is that?
right? Exactly. You don't want that.
Mhm.
You want everything to be aligned, so that when you've pushed everything out, your marketing stuff, and when they see you, it just makes sense. Because if there's a disconnect, they're like, then you have trust issues. People are like, what
Mm.
am I getting if I invest in this person? Am I investing in all the great fluffy marketing stuff that they sent me, or is it the person I'm seeing right in front of me? What am I getting? So you really want them to be in alignment. It's
So a lot
important.
it is very important. So alignment is key. You're going to give people trust issues if you're not showing up and if you're not thinking about what it is you look like when you show up.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
uh,
And that's not to say that you have to be dressed in a suit every day, sure. That's not what I'm
that
saying.
part.
I'm not
Okay.
saying that you have to be dressed up to see. That's not it. Your style needs to be a reflection of you. It is who you are. It is your vibe. It's how you want to show up for your brand. So that's really important, because sometimes people say, well, I don't want to dress up every day. It's not about that. It's really about being intentional. And I like to tell clients to think about, instead of thinking, what am I going to wear today? It's more about, what do I want to say today? Right? Because remember, our style is, I say, our big tool. It is the first thing that people see. It is, we are a walking billboard for our brand and for our business, right? So you really want to be intentional. And intentional, again, doesn't mean you're dressed and wearing suit and tie. No, not at all. It really needs to be a reflection of you and your brand.
And it's interesting because, there's often times where we get so caught up with the idea of, you know, our clothing and what it means and how much money we need to be investing in our clothing because, and then that intimidates people from doing anything at all. And I think that's
Yes.
not what you're saying, right?
Yes, not at all. Style is available at all price points. I've had
Mm.
clients who spend lots of money on their clothing and they do not look good, or they look like logos vomited on them. It's not about wearing flashy logos and spending all this money. It's about how you communicate. Your style is how you. It's really a reflection of how you're feeling about yourself and how you're sharing with the world. It's how you communicate. What are you saying to the audience? How do you want them to receive you?
Mm.
What message are you sending? All of those things come in, are a part of your style, and you need to think about that, or you should think about that when you are, putting yourself out there.
Right. And then, so someone like yourself, like when we see your brand, because I mean, you have an incredible brand out there. I look to, I see your content. I engage with your content all the time because you're always giving us the what's happening right now. There's one thing I swear. So you did a style update on, as people were going back to the office,
Oh,
and there
yeah.
was this thing about waterfall sweaters.
Oh, yes.
And I had a couple of waterfall lapel things. I can't wear them anymore. They all went in a bag because you got in my head. But that's a good thing though. And I think that that's something that, what I like about your content and what you're putting out there, and even I guess, 100-fold being able to dial in on what you do, is the fact that you can tell me what I don't know, right? And I end up showing up better with what I have. And I bet you, as you're working with your clients, it's all about helping them feel better and then help informing them of, don't do that
Right.
anymore.
And you know what, to share, I think another big point I want to say, it's not that I have all the answers and it's my way or no way. What I really want to encourage our viewers and, yeah, everybody, is that it's about how you feel in what you're wearing, right? If you love something and it really brings out your personality and you feel fantastic wearing it and you're feeling like $1,000,000, rock that. Because when you are rocking something that you love and you feel great in your energy, we're back to energy again, right?
Mm.
It's going to be phenomenal. So, I talk about quote unquote trends or what's current. I really like to say it more what's current, right? To keep your style current, but not trends. And you're not following trends. You're wearing things that you vibe with, that resonate with your personality, that your lifestyle, right? You're not going to invest in something because it's trendy and that's really not your vibe. So you really want to
Hmm.
think about that as well. I can sit here and say, yeah, don't wear the waterfall, but if you love those waterfall
Wear it.
jackets, wear it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
I
you may
love
look
that. I love,
dated. The other thing, sorry to cut you short, but the
go
other thing
ahead.
about why I want to us to help people to stay current. Remember that if you look dated, people associate that with your skill set being dated, right?
Mm.
That's a big point.
Mm.
They're like, it just looks old, it looks antiquated, so you can't imagine that your skill set is up to date if your style looks, and I'm not just saying last year, but if it looks really
Yeah.
dated, they kind of wonder, right? So that's a point.
And I think that's a really strong point, especially because a lot of the people that I serve, they're established professionals. They are in their careers right now, and they've been in their careers for a while, and they're at that point where they should be in prime time. They should be in prime with their experience and even the role that they're in right now. But they need to again adjust their brand, their messaging, and their style, and how they show up, and what they create, and what they put out there, and what they're asking for,
Right,
all those things.
right.
But then you just underscored an important point of making, of allowing you to influence again how people see you. And one of those
Yes,
things is seeing you
yes,
ready for now,
yes.
seeing you ready for
For
next by
now,
your style.
for
Yeah.
now, right? Because remember,
Yeah.
the marketplace is busy, right?
Mm.
It's there's a lot of noise. It's busy. So
Hmm.
how are you, so you're updating your skills, but if you don't look like you're an updated person, then it kind of doesn't, you know,
Exactly, exactly. I love what Nola's saying, how when I wear electric blue, I'm in the zone, kind of like your shirt, which is awesome. And also, I believe Enrique was saying, I go from my suits to my success to you t-shirts. So he can rock both sides, and being
yeah,
able to do that because you're not pigeonholed into one style, which
right,
is awesome.
right.
Right. And when a person, let's see what this is an awesome comment. When one person trusts, what one person may be trust may be different from another. How do you decide what people will trust?
Mm, very good question. I think
Hmm.
when you need to be truth, think about, do it for you. How do you feel authentic, right? It
Right.
really comes back to that. What is authentic to you, and showing up that way.
No, I agree. And then as well as like your vibe attracts your tribe, you want to
Yeah.
be authentically you. And as you bring yourself out there, that's where
Yeah.
you continue to attract those that you're meant to work with.
Yes.
And yeah, and that your style says so much about that, especially when it's authentic. And I think that's the thing. It's not just about the cute outfit to rock your
Not at
brand.
all. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it has to be much more than the clothing. When I work with clients, or even when I share on social, before we even get to picking the outfit, there's a whole lot of stuff, steps that happen before that,
Mhm.
right? Before we even pick the clothes, because there's work there to be done, so that when you show up, it is authentic to you and your brand.
Okay. And I got a confession to make.
Yeah.
I have a style crutch. My style
Oh,
crutch is my is my black turtleneck. I love black turtlenecks. This is an example
yeah.
of me in my black turtleneck, and it's not from today. This was actually a day when I was doing shooting a video for my LinkedIn Learning series that's coming out soon on live streaming on LinkedIn. So keep that in mind. Coming up at the end of the month, shameless plug. But these are all versions of me in a turtleneck. Clearly, I have a little bit of a problem. Is a style crutch a bad thing? And guys, I want you guys to let me know, do you have a style crutch? Do you have a style crutch right now? Is there something that you depend on? So, really and truly, what I want you to do is let us know in the comments. In the meantime, Renee, is it a bad thing?
So, you know, some style crutch. It's easy, right? That's our fallback. When we don't have anything kind of thought of, that's our go-to. So I get it. It's great to have a go-to thing, but the reason that we have that go-to is because our closets really aren't at the place where you have awesome things to choose from, right?
Mm,
So what I mean is that your closet should be a personal boutique for you, right? Filled with things
okay.
that you love, right? Filled with things that you love, that looks great on you, that you love wearing, so that when you're kind of don't know what to wear, anything you pull out is going to look fantastic. And it doesn't have to be a black turtleneck. You happen to look fantastic in your black turtleneck, but the
Mhm.
one other point, black doesn't look good on everybody. Black can be draining, right? And
Mm,
actually drain.
mm,
When some people wear black, and it just kind of drains all the color out of their face. Not a good color. It looks great
mhm,
on you, but just think about having a closet that has items that you love, so that anything you choose, they work easily together. You can make an outfit quickly, so you're not dependent on that crutch. Then
so
you'll
that
feel like
becomes
you're almost in a style rut, right? When you lean on that crutch too much, then you kind of feel like, oh, I wear the same thing all the time, I feel boring. So
mm.
that's my tip about that. But I'd love to hear what
So
everybody else says about their crutch.
well, I noticed that so Jihan, so we'll go to Sean first. My style crutch is a gray pinstriped suit. And then Jihan was saying how hers, she likes to wear a lot of black. I totally get you. Jihan, I'm right there with you. As well. Let's see. I agree with you, Gabe, but you look fabulous in your black turtleneck. And okay, so there is a little bit of strategy behind this because my background is so busy. So take a look, guys. Like it is super busy. So this allows me to be
Yeah,
centered.
to pop.
But I'm doing the whole Steve Jobs thing a little too much, as we saw from the evidence there. So I need to stop that. Um, and yeah, Jihan says that I feel naked without my hat. So that's Gabe. I always see you in your hat. Absolutely. And Steve he's a fan. Renee is amazing. Love her energy. So do I. So do I.
Thanks,
And Jihan
Steve.
says black is safe for her. I am right there with you. And it blends in well. So again, I noticed her hashtag there. She's a work in progress. So that is all good right there. And I see another one, a style crutch. So K Venice Vinegar is saying my style crutch is tank tops under everything, all colors. So that's what we're working with right now. And wait, Marlo, let's see. Marlo says, I'm a dress chick. That's how I was when I was on stage. I was dresses all the time. So what do you think about that? like again, of style crutches. And again, we talked about like how the fact that it's really, it reflects the symptom of you don't know your wardrobe or you haven't worked your wardrobe. So I get it. And so that's
Because
something that
it
I'm gonna have to
share,
work
it's
through.
just as easy to you reach for your black turtleneck. It's just as easy to reach for a blouse that works, that looks beautiful on you. It's the same energy there. Just that,
Right.
like, we haven't created that space.
You're already convincing me this, like, I need to, and that's the thing, is like you need like someone else to tell you that something looks good. It's not the sense that you need, like, it's like someone to pull together pieces that you never knew look good together,
Look good
right? Because
together.
sometimes we
Yeah,
in that picture where, my imagination, when I pulled together this outfit, said it's gonna look amazing, and then someone else took a picture of me, and I was like, "What? Is that what I look like in that awful outfit?" Right? And Marlo says she's remembering when I used to wear those cute t-shirts. I used to wear t-shirts. So that was my crutch. That was my crutch before that. So I used to wear t-shirts on all of my earlier Just Ask Share episodes, mainly because I wanted to keep a budget. I was going weekly. I didn't want to use my on stage clothes, like, so my good clothes. I didn't want to use them on my videos. So I was like, how can I do this? So I had like a $12 t-shirt budget. Me and t-shirt stores, Walmart, TJX, all those kind of stuff, Marshalls, all that kind of stuff. Those were my spots to find my wardrobe. Right? So that was the
love
thing.
it, love it.
I
Yeah,
love it. So when we think about, so one of the things that, here's an interesting thing when it comes to this style crutch, and it was something that I want to call it a cheat code for creators, right? Because we talked about everyday gear and making sure that your client your wardrobe is, you've worked your wardrobe so it works for you, right? So you know what you've got. You can pull together pieces, and you've done probably a lot of removing of stuff you no
right.
longer need, right? So, but there is something that creators can do. And I love this. And it was sparked because of my earlier post today. But let me just show you. I call it a creator style cheat code. And this is Steve Worthy. He has two different pieces of content going out on a regular basis. So he has Worthy Retail U, where he's talking to retail leaders about retail leadership, and he has his podcast and his live streams. But then he also has another brand called Podcasters Live, where he teaches podcasters how to, and live streamers, how to bring that world together, and so that podcasters can live stream and live streamers can podcast. So that is his community, and what he's done really well is branded gear. So and then it's funny because I found two pictures of him in red, but I know that he has multiple colors, and even what he says, like, no particular color or style, but he just does try to change up the colors. So I think that this is a really cool workaround for content specifically. And I've seen him on stage with that as well. So that really works. And it's something that I think we need to start thinking about. And he also sells merch as well. So it's just like another way. And he has like blue, green, black, brown. I've seen like every color. So he's able to rock that. What do you think about that as a crutch?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that because you see, the thing, the bottom line is intention, being
Mm.
intentional, right? So you're intentional. You have your logo or your brand, whatever that is, and you're rocking that. I think that's great. I think that's fine.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
about it's really is about intention and not just kind of throwing things together. I go back to the thing that you're the walking billboard for your business, for your brand,
Mm. I love
right?
it.
You're
You
you're the
are.
walking billboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
are your
how
brand, right?
exactly, exactly. And I hear you, Gabe. I need a fashion expert to help me look fly too. Well, we got one today, and we have a question for you. So always adhere to just dress for the position you want versus the position you currently have. As a Black man, I feel that we're held to a different standard in corporate settings. Does this apply to women as well?
Absolutely. Like, hands down, yes. Women are judged harsher, much harsher than men, for sure, in how we show up for work, how we are dressed, our hair, much harsher. Black women for sure. So the short answer is yes. Yep.
Exactly. So it is what it is. And that's something that we're going to have to recognize as well. So
And
I
I just
have,
don't have the luxury of, say, I'm sorry, share, but that's the
oh no, it's
excuse I
okay.
wanted to share. I just don't have the luxury of showing up to a Zoom meeting in a hoodie. That's
No,
just not going to go
no.
over well for me as a black woman, as a woman
Mhm.
professional. Even if tech, the tech space maybe more casual, but there's just some things that women in tech still can't wear that men in tech would wear. We're
E
judged harsher.
exactly.
And it's a
And
privilege to be able to wear a hoodie and show up to
mm,
a meeting and be okay, right?
mm,
Zuckerberg has that
mm.
privilege.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs, right? But I don't know how many of us have that similar privilege. We still need to show up looking like we can do the job. Looking, yeah,
No, and that is something that has to be factored into your style strategy, and I think that we need to start looking at style as a strategy for success. It is part of that
yeah,
strategy. It's one
definitely.
of many
Yeah,
components,
yeah,
and it's actually a critical component in my humble
yeah,
opinion. I'm just saying.
yeah. Listen, style is a tool, or style is a tool
Mhm.
that we can use. It's a part of the package. It's a powerful tool when we understand how to really use our style to show up as the highest version of ourselves, to communicate what we want to be communicated about us before we even speak. It's powerful.
It really is. It is incredibly powerful, and like with great power comes great responsibility, right? So we are responsible for how we show up. And so the next question that I want to jump into right now is I'm going to ask our audience first. Who do you know who has a signature style? Like someone when you think so, like Steve Jobs or Cher Jones, black turtlenecks, that's who you think. So let us know in the comments because I look forward to reading them. But Renee, I'll go to you with that. Who has a signature style in your mind?
So there's two that come to mind right away. I think of Michelle Obama.
Hmm.
When I see her, whenever she's dressed, right, you can see it's sophisticated, it's clean lines, it is intentional, but then also it's fun, right? She
Mm,
definitely injects her personality. There's fun, and she's approachable, and you feel that you can approach her. So when I think of those, I think of when I see her, those are the words that come to mind. So that even makes my point that your style communicates before you even speak. So I don't know her, I've never met her, but just by how she dresses, how she presents herself, those are the words that come to mind. And I would feel, I mean, I'm even naive, but I'd feel okay to approach her because her
right.
style is approachable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely.
So your style speaks for you before you open your mouth. You think of it when you're watching a movie. When
Hmm.
you think of the characters and their wardrobe and what they're dressed in, it tells so much about that character before you know their level in society. You know if they have what type of job they have, how educated they are, where they may live. What right? Some of
Hmm.
those cues you get from a movie without them explicitly telling you these things, but you get it
Right.
from their wardrobe. It's the same
Right.
thing with how we're showing up in our style with our style.
Okay, so Michelle Obama, clearly a signature style. And let me jump into the chat to see who Carrot Top. Oh, I remember Carrot Top. That was a long time ago. Yes, he had a signature style. Um, Sean Bennett says Michael Jordan has a signature style. Oh, yes, Ellen DeGeneres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that's a good one.
Ooh, I like
Yeah.
this one up next. Janelle Monáe. Yes, she
Mm-hmm.
does. Yes, she does. Absolutely, 100% agree. So I'm gonna share somebody who I think has had a signature style, and he's a local. Well, we'll call him local because a lot of people here are watching on LinkedIn right now. So he is definitely a local to us. And if you guys know Quentin Allums, he is a local, but we know him for that hat. Guys, how do you not recognize? Like, it's like I barely know him without that hat over here. But when I see him, always, whether it's a brown hat, a black hat, a white hat, Quentin always has a hat. So that is one thing that when I think of just a person who has a style on LinkedIn specifically, he makes me think of him. One other person that I think of when I think of um, when I think of a person who has a signature style, love it or whatnot, is Gary Vee. It matches
Hmm.
the way he speaks, the way he
Yep.
communicates, the way he shows up. It matches his privilege and also his confidence and what he knows.
Hmm.
And just you get what
Absolutely.
you get and don't expect and
Absolutely.
don't get upset when it's Gary Vee, right?
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. That his style is that is him, right? Absolutely.
So, my question for you then, so when it comes to developing your branded or your signature style, question to you is, should somebody be doing that, especially as they're thinking? And so this is like the elevated, we talked about the everyday, but this is the let's say the performative style, the elevated style, which we still again want to make sure it's us. But when you're thinking about your brand style for content, for stage or on camera, are there any, can you give us like three key considerations on what we should be doing or your view on that?
Sure. So, I'm a firm believer that your style, whether it's your style and your brand style, it really needs to be you. It's not a costume, right? So you're not going to go and get these brand shots done and have a branding photo shoot and you're going to look like or create this image of somebody that you think you should be to be recognized or influenced. That's not it. People will see right through that. It's
Mm.
not you. Your brand and your style really need to be a reflection of you. So a couple of things that I think are really important. First, you need to be really clear, right? It starts with clarity. You really need to be clear on your brand, clear on who you are, clear on what message you want. Well, what message is your brand sending? Who is your
Mhm.
audience? What are they? What's important for them to resonate with? Those things are important. I mean, I have had a situation where so women came to me, they were leaving corporate and they're starting their business brand new, but they say, hey, we need to get a website, we need to get some headshots done, we need to get some branding. So let's go. So when doing my call with them, I said, okay, so we're going to talk about, I'm going to send you my questionnaire. We talk about kind of who's your audience, how do you want them to feel when they see your images? What's the emotion? All of those kinds of questions. Who does your brand serve? All of those kinds of things. Well, we haven't really thought about that yet. So, we're new and we don't know. I'm like, well, let me just tell you. Yeah, I can style you and put you in some outfits, but I really think that would not do you any good. It's really important that we really understand what your brand is, who is your
Mm.
client, who are you serving, so that when we choose your outfits and when we decide what you're going to wear, that it's what your ideal client and customer are, what they're going to identify with and resonate with, right? You can put up pictures all day long, but if it's not you, then you've wasted money, you've wasted time because your audience is not going to resonate with that. So you really need to be clear. I think that's really the starting point. Clear on your brand and you and the message. The next thing is comfortable. You really need to be comfortable as well.
Mm.
And comfortable doesn't mean, when I say comfortable, I don't mean you have to wear sweatpants and Lululemons. Comfort. I'm comfortable in a blazer and jeans. I'm comfortable in that. So it's what are you comfortable in? Your personality, your style personality also needs to be comfortable, because if you're uncomfortable, that's also going to show in your pictures and that's not a good look. But comfortable in your skin, comfortable in the style, in the essence, in what you're wearing. And then a really key point that's important when I'm working with clients is I ask them to think of three words that really describe your brand. And I call those your brand style words. And I find when we get those words right, it allows us we everything passes through those words, everything in terms of your clothing, what you're wearing. So she may say, I had a lawyers, they were rebranding, and so their words were elegant, expensive, sleek, and I forgot the other word. And then when we were looking at outfits, and she made some selections, the outfits were, and they were younger, right? So maybe like 30s, young lawyers. So the outfits really looked more like not sleek, elegant. So I'm like, hey, remember our words, and the brand is
Mm.
sleek, elegant. This outfit does not, I don't feel sleek, elegant, or expensive when I see this. So when we really know
Right.
what our style or brand words are, it really gives us good guidance when we're thinking about what we're going to wear. You put everything against that test, and if it doesn't give you that vibe, then you move on to the next thing. But I think
Mm.
that's a really key point.
I love those points. So like
Yeah,
when again, when we look back at what you were saying, so, being clear on who
clear.
you are and who you serve, that clarity is
Yeah.
key when it comes to developing your style and be comfortable in your style because you can't create something that is like, wait, it looks good on film or it looks good on camera or whatever, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look good on you. Like that you don't feel
Right.
good in it later, right? Because it
And
doesn't
people
feel
can
like
see
you.
that.
Yes.
And you're right. You're not authentic. It's not authentic to you.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then your style words,
Yes,
your
the style
brand,
words.
brand
Um,
words.
and it's funny because I got a question earlier with someone who had DM'd me about this, and it was around. Okay, so we talked about men having to show up, and we have to work. We have to style twice as hard as well, kind of thing, right? In the sense of how we show up in our style, and there's certain things that we can't do and whatnot. But so what happens when someone's style is a little bit more what society would deem as provocative or too sexy, so to speak, for corporate or something like that? How do you deal with that? How do you challenge that thinking or how do you work with that?
Well, that goes, so it comes back again to the client, right? So that may be her style and how she likes to dress, but it's not always about you. Yes, we need to know who we are, but is the client, is the audience, is the ideal client, are they going to resonate with that? Are you going to
Mm,
be speaking their language, right? Because you can't, if you're speaking and you're nobody is connecting, then we don't have a conversation here, right?
mm,
So it's, if you feel, if that's how you like to dress, um and you want to dress that way for your branding, or when you're out in public, not public, but you're doing your speaking and those types of things, the people who are okay with that and who like that, they'll connect with you, and those who don't, who are not aligned, you're going to turn off. So you also need to be clear that, and okay with the fact that you're not going to be for everyone, right?
mm.
You not be, and you're okay with that.
Yeah.
That's a big point.
Yeah.
You're
And I mean,
okay with
Gary
with
Vee.
repelling, with
Yep.
repelling out, and you're good with that.
Right. And you look at how Gary Vee is, like just to jump on Ryan's quote, he leans to
Exactly.
thrift store chic. And at the end of the day, that reflects how he communicates. It reflects everything. And he's good with
His
who he
language.
is and his
Yes.
language and everything like that.
Yes.
And
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 he's
and
good if
he's
he
fine
turns
with
you
that.
off, right? If
Yes.
his language is too vulgar for you, you're not, and that's not your vibe. He's okay with that. He's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
you're just not my people.
Mm,
So you
mm,
have to, you have to know that it's okay if it's not your people. And then
and
remember too, the bigger point, as we all know, with our brands, we're not going to be for everybody, right?
right.
We're not. We
Right.
speak to everybody. We end up speaking to no one. So we really want to know who we're speaking to, speak their language,
Mm,
right? So we can have a,
mhm.
have a conversation, and then the others, I mean, they're just not going to be your people.
Exactly, and it looks like Maria just summed that up quite nicely, so great job on that comment there, Maria. And, so interestingly enough, like, as people develop their brand styles and it's kind of like a great example. So I did the post earlier this afternoon around my whole black turtleneck vibe and my crutch style. And, one of the comments that I got in this in the one of the comments that I got was this one by Natasha, and then she's like, I love this. Earlier this year, I was going for a men's suit look, ascot and all. Didn't feel it. And I think I'm transitioning to plain black t-shirts. So this speaks to, it's a great, like, I mean, Natasha looks fantastic in it. But again, she's recognizing that in the moment. I loved, and she loved it. I know how excited she was in the moment. But then, taking that step back and then just recognizing that maybe not, maybe not. So really interesting you know thought as far as just you may go down the route of a style and then you have to wheel and come again because you
Yeah.
realize it's just not working for you. So what advice do you have around that?
But sure, just like in life, we grow and we change. And as our
Mm,
brands mature and grow over time, that also changes. That's why we do rebrands. That's why, you may wear something 5 years ago and now it's just not your vibe anymore.
mm,
So it's okay. It's okay. So you spent money, you did your branding, and it worked, and it was your brand at the time. And what I should say is, were you clear? Was that really your brand? So it's okay to expect that your brand and your style are gonna change as you age, as you mature. Your style changes, and your brand, the same thing, it changes. So it's okay to say, hey, that what I did when I started is no longer maybe the focus of my business. Or I want to pivot into this area. And so we change, and it's okay for the brand and the styling for it to change as well. So I don't think we need to be so caught up on, oh, I have to get it right and it's going to last me
mm,
forever. It's not going to last
mm.
forever.
Okay,
There's
so
time
speaking
for you to do it over, to redo.
for sure, there's always time. And then speaking of like things are not going to last forever, are there any certain trends to avoid or shouldn't come back? So that's a question from Sean. So what are your thoughts on that?
Trends in terms of for brand, or just in terms of clothing?
Just, I guess,
Are
clothing
there any
style.
certain trends to avoid,
Yeah.
or shouldn't come back? My feeling on trends is, you can't build your wardrobe on trends and just
Mm,
gets expensive.
that part.
When that happens, you're constantly buying new things because you want to be in the latest trend. A wardrobe that's functional, that you're going to get your money out of, that's going to really work for you, is really work made up of basics, like wardrobe basics. About 80%, and about 20% you can add in some trend pieces. And the key is, the trend pieces are pieces that you're going to love, whether or not they're in trend or not just because they're a trend. I can give an example, a personal example. So my body shape, I wear wide leg pants because they're slenderizing for me, for my shape. Now, this is my body. My body is not going to change because of the trend. Even before, and so now that there's a trend coming out of the pandemic of us wearing loose and baggy clothing and not
Mhm.
tight. So I've always worn wide leg pants because it works well for my body shape. Even
Right.
when it wasn't trending, it happened to be trending now or hot now. And I'm going to continue wearing them when they're no longer work a trend. So it's really about understanding what works for you. What do you like? What are you going to wear
Mhm.
when the trend goes? And you don't have to, and then also you don't have to invest a lot in the trend. It should be just, pieces that you
Mm.
can play with, pieces that you can interject just to feel a little bit more current. But the majority of your wardrobe really should be foundational pieces that can mix and match and carry you through years.
Okay, I see another question coming in. Um, when on camera, either as a host or a guest, is there something that we should absolutely avoid at all costs? Like a color, an item? Is there anything that we should avoid? So that is the question that we want
Sure.
answers to.
Yeah. So I talked about this a lot when I was doing training for showing up virtually. So I always encourage people to wear color when you're on camera. Um, it just shows up nicer. It's brighter. Instead of wearing grays and whites, wearing color, it brightens your face, makes you look alive. Um, yeah, it's just good, and you stand out, right? We had when you're on a I'm talking about Zoom now.
Hmm.
You have a Zoom with like 10 boxes, everybody has their camera off, or even when they have their cameras on, it's gray, or people want to kind of disappear into their chair. If you're wearing a nice, beautiful color, you're memorable. People remember you. And when they
Mm.
see you and hear you, it makes a much bigger impression. So I always recommend you wear color. I would say stay away from stripes, like stripes that are horizontal and
Hmm.
small, because those tend to dance on the screen and can be
Mm.
distracting.
Right. And houndstooth.
Metallics, it kind of dances, right, and moves. Metallics, those kind of silvery things, those can be distracting as well.
Hmm.
Uh, Colors to avoid, I think. Oh, white women with white, sometimes with the light, the white can make your blouse see through. So think about not
Oh.
doing white, because it, where you have your lights in front of you if you want to be well lit. Yes, I think those are some of the key things. Those stripes, oh, logos and big graphic things
Mhm.
usually don't read well. Just think about a newscaster, right? That's usually a good guide. They usually, if you think about what they're wearing, they're usually wearing bold, vivid colors, vibrant colors.
Mhm.
That helps.
Okay. So I have another question here from Felipe. What is your advice to CEOs that think suits and professional attire are the only professional image to support in your brand? So what are your thoughts around that?
Only
So
okay.
like
So it,
they're trying to kind of say this is the only way I can dress. I can
yeah,
only dress in
yeah,
a suit.
right.
What is your thoughts
So
on that?
it really comes to culture, right?
Mm,
It comes to culture in terms of organization and your company, and also your industry culture. So there are some industries, I think of a more formal industries like banking, government, law, accounting. Those industries really tend to still be more formal. Even now, I still there some of them are relaxing their dress code, their dress codes.
mhm,
Um, but to expect people to only dress in suits, I think we've learned from the pandemic that that really doesn't have to be the case. So I'd push back and say, we can dress it down a bit, but
mm,
there just may be some in the. It's hard to change culture, right? And
right.
if with law, especially lawyers, that type of environment, law and accounting, and law and government, they're just a much formal type of environment. And when you think about the client, right, especially if you're client facing, sometimes clients, when they're having a meeting, they expect their lawyer to look a certain way. They expect their
Mm.
lawyer to be dressed in that suit, right? So it's you know I don't know what to say about that. It's really industry and company
And
kind of
cultural as
specific
well. Yeah, that corporate
culture.
culture
Yeah,
and that individual culture as
corporate
well.
culture. Right, right.
So we
It's
got one more
changing, but
question.
it takes time.
For sure. We have one more question as well. It says, I'm a middle-aged woman who has a career change who's made a career change to digital media. Oftentimes I'm competing with candidates much younger. How can I exhibit a style that is compatible with digital natives rather than a dinosaur? So Judah, this is a question from Judah Jackson, and it does go back to what we were talking about a little earlier around how upgrading and updating your style does reflect does it's a strategic communication for you
Hmm.
in your brand. So let's talk to a little bit about that, especially like again dealing with that sort of
Yeah,
thing where that's
yeah.
stressful.
Yeah, we don't want to be a dinosaur at all.
Hmm.
That's not going to win us any points. But what I would suggest is to look at what they are wearing. Some of that, so that industry, right? What are they wearing? Maybe they're probably wearing. I think was it digital, like tech. So
Yeah,
they're
digital and
wearing
tech. Yeah.
jeans. They're wearing jeans. They may be wearing t-shirts and hoodies. So maybe you can, instead of wearing distressed jeans, you're going to wear maybe dark denim, right? And then you're going to wear maybe a graphic tee, but you're going to put a blazer over it. So that's still edgy. That's still younger. That doesn't look like a dinosaur, but then you're not too far out of your comfort zone, right? Digital dark denim uh, can be dressed up. Still looks work worthy or professional. A graphic tee for some personality, and then your blazer to give you that confidence where you feel that, okay, I'm not just kind of hanging out in weekend clothes. So I think to,
Hmm.
to take some cues from what the others are wearing, and just maybe you don't have to go to that. And I said that's not the right word. You don't have to be as cash, but in that same type of vein, just a little bit more elevated, I think would work well.
I love it. So Carl has had a few comments around just making sure that your gear looks good. So he's saying make it expensive, whatever you do, and he's also saying you can tell cheap. Black always looks rich, even if it's a T-shirt, right? So that's something else that has to come in mind. But I definitely think that there's quite a few people out here tonight who need to be, or today, whenever you're watching, whether you're live or on the replay. That you need to start, especially if you are in prime time, you're in that prime time of your career, you're making those moves. And I mean, style goes at any age, any level, but I think specifically it is about investing. It is about investing in your look and in your strategy so that you show
Yes.
up, so that you can show
Yes.
up. Right, like that is super
Carl,
important.
it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be if you want to, and if you have the budget. But retailers now have done a really great job. They've done a good job of meeting us where we are in terms of making workwear more comfortable. A lot of workwear now has stretch. We have more work leisure type clothing if that's what you want to wear. But retailers have done a good job in making and using the fabrications that move with us, that breathe with us. So it doesn't have to be expensive. If you have the budget to buy higher quality, absolutely. But there are some things that aren't as expensive that still look quite professional and look nice.
I love it. So, one of the things that I wanted to do before we close out this interview as well is, so if someone goes through this whole process of developing their style and really doing the homework and being intentional with it, is this like a grand closing, grand opening kind of thing? Or like, what do you suggest people do? Like, especially if they do a little bit of a significant overhaul, how do they reintroduce themselves and their new style?
I say go for it right away. I
Mm,
mean, you've spent money, you've invested time, you have gone through the process. I'd be excited to like, hey, here I am.
mhm.
Um, in terms of your putting your pieces out, like your what am I searching for today? Putting out your marketing pieces. I'd say, yeah, you've invested in it, use it right away.
Mm,
And even you, if you've gone through a style transformation, like most of my clients, they're excited to want to show up as they're new and
right.
improved, quote unquote new and improved. It's still them, but they're feeling better. Their energy is up. So there's not going to be a lot of holding them back, right? If you have invested in your style, you invested in the transformation, you're excited, you're looking good, you're feeling good, that energy is
Right.
up, you're high vibe, you want to share that with the world. So I
Mm,
say go for it.
I love
It's a
it.
fun thing. That's what I really love about what I do. It's really seeing that style transformation, taking women and men from where they are in a space where they're not feeling really great. They know they're meh, but to take them really through the journey where they're like, wow, I feel fantastic. Wow. Yes, I'm gonna put my hand up for more. Yes, I can ask for
Mm,
more. I can negotiate for more. It's a feeling that it's hard to pinpoint, but it's like a confidence, right? Like this armor that you put on that really makes you feel like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here, of course.
armor. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that terminology around armor. So one last question for you. So, um, what is like that number one key thing that when someone's like, okay, they're kind of thinking that maybe they need help with their style. At what point? What's that thing that all your clients get to that? What's the breaking point where they should have called you like 10 probably a year ago, but now they're there. How do they recognize that feeling?
When they start opting out of life, I think it's time to get help. And what I mean by that, they'll say
Oh.
they'll get invited to go somewhere. Oh, I'm not gonna go. I don't have anything to wear. Or
Mm,
they need to do something and I don't want to go. Their husband or their spouse, their wife invites them. Here we have this event. I don't want to go. Opting out is not an option, right? There's just so much life out here to live. Don't let your clothes prevent you from enjoying life, right?
mm,
It's really about being intentional. It's about saying, no, I deserve to look good and feel good and be able to add value to the world and be able to share my vibe and what I have. Because listen, we all have something to offer. right? The world
Mm.
needs your brilliance. The world needs your everything that you have to share. So don't opt out, right? Get the
Oh.
help, get the guidance, create a ward. If that's what's holding you back, create a wardrobe that allows you to say, no, I deserve to be here. You deserve to know me,
Mm.
right? And share
Mm.
that with the world.
I love that. So
But opting
how can
out.
I share you with the world? How can people find you? So what's the best place for them to
Yes.
get connected?
Best. Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn, so connect with me there.
Mhm.
Very active on Instagram as well. And of course, and my
Mhm.
website is letsgetdressednow.com.
Okay. Let's get dressed now. Don't opt out. That's exactly
Don't
where you
opt
need
out.
to be. Opt in, my friends. So,
Yes.
Renee, if you can hold on just for a second, I'm going to close out the show. But this has
Yep.
been phenomenal. And like you, I
Awesome.
know that anybody who's watching, whether live or on the replay, get your comments in. We'll be checking them out. And this was definitely something where people got blessed with your information. So, I'll see you
Awesome.
in
I'm
just
so
a sec.
glad.
All right, guys. So, what I want to remind you again, this is Creator Collabs. This is the second episode. And so, part of this was really about making sure that not only did you learn something, but did you create something? And if you are looking for an idea to create, guess what, my friends? I've got one for you. So, let me just show you what I'm going to show you right now. So, here are some ideas that you can take from watching this episode. Even if you have to rewind and watch again, that's okay. I want to make sure because I see that there's so many light bulbs, everybody's sharing things. So you can write a post about 3 things you learned about today. 3 things you learned, maybe some advice, maybe some motivational advice that your network needs to know about, especially that whole are you opting out of your style or how to create your style. You could do a more of a meme post. So kind of like my post today earlier when I was talking about the black turtleneck. That's my problem. Maybe you have a bunch of pictures where you're wearing the same thing and it was in a professional setting. Maybe you could joke around that and talk about what you learned. And then also, maybe you could do a picture series or of just the evolution of your brand style. And I'm telling you, stuff like this goes gangbusters on LinkedIn, will really do well on Instagram as well, or even TikTok. You could do something really funny. So these are 3 ideas. But one of the things that you want to do is a part of this is like tell people where you learned it. So like bring in context to why you're talking about it because it might just seem a little bit random. But if you say, hey, I was watching creator collabs on how to create your branded style with Renee Lindo, and let me tell you, I learned. What'd you learn? So all those things that you share and you make the connection, you'll see how you will be able to put awesome content that reflects and represents your brand right out there. So that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure you guys got out of today is making sure that you are not only watching and learning, but you're also creating. So I'd like to thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Creator Collabs, and I will see you on the next one. So thank you for joining us, and I'll see you soon.